Hello, welcome to Impressing Minds. Today, I'm going to talk about foster parents change lives. If this slogan is true, why is there such a shortage? Why don't people want to invest themselves in this ministry? Why don't people volunteer? So I'm going to kind of dig a little bit into some of the reasons why people may not continue to foster, and some of the things that are going on to make fostering maybe a little more difficult than it's supposed to be. So what made me think of this title was Foster Parents Change Lives is everywhere in my area. I don't know if it's other places, but it's a slogan for one of our agencies. So foster parents change lives, a big billboard. But why are so many foster parents not wanting to continue? Also, there's called a newspaper called, or a publication, I guess, called Mountain State Spotlight. And they have been shedding some light on their state, West Virginia, and telling some not so great stories about their foster care system. I'll put a link below, I think, for the blog post that goes with this, and you can see the some of the investigations that they've been doing and some of the bad press that's been going on. And I don't think it's just in the state. I think it's several places, maybe nationwide, and maybe even beyond our nation. So the foster care system just seems to be so on edge and so flawed. And there's policies, but they're not followed. It seems like no matter what agency you're with, if you talk to another agency, you have different rules and regulations. Who can watch the kids, who can't watch the kids. They come and take the kids away without, transitioning them, which is a big issue. So anyway, I have this quote from this Mountain State Spotlight. It says, allegations of trouble in these out-of-state homes and in the West Virginia foster care system aren't new. So they're talking about the foster care homes that are out of state. So there's a big problem with West Virginia sending these kids to other states. In September 2019, 12 West Virginia foster kids and their families sued the state, alleging, among many things, West Virginia sent kids to unsafe homes and institutions that subjected the children to further abuse, neglect, and trauma. The suit also alleged kids were institutionalized and forced to languish in the system, and that the state lost track of an alarming number of children. So don't forget, I'm going to put the link down below. So I want you to read this whole entire article. So in at least 2 cases at centers in Georgia and Michigan, the West Virginia officials found some negative things going on, and they continue to renew licenses to have that compact between West Virginia and like Michigan, West Virginia and Georgia, whoever, at those centers. So even in spite of some shady stuff, they continue to send kids there. And even media coverage was in play by then. So, all right, is there a shortage of foster parents? One of my friends said, why is there a shortage, And the other friend said, well, if they didn't treat foster parents like crap, they might have more people to sign up and do foster care. So, I honestly think it depends on your worker, and it depends on the caseload of that worker. So, for example, your worker might be amazing, but if she has 60 cases, how can she be adequately protecting all the children and investigating, everything that goes on and being on top of everything? So it might just be that they're overworked. It may be that they have lost a passion that they once had for, foster parents and foster their job, their CPS job, ongoing CPS investigations or whatever their job is. They've kind of lost that passion. So Sarah Gordon a Martinsburg foster mom said, "It's hard and it's infuriating to have people make decisions who've never even seen these kids." So Sarah Gordon from Martinsburg, West Virginia, was quoted in the article as saying, "It's hard and it's infuriating to have people make decisions who have never seen these kids." And that is one of the things that is frustrating for foster parents, because if you know the child very well, they're living with you, they're eating dinner with you, you're going to therapy with them, you take care of them after their visits and before visits, things like that. You know a lot about the children, but it seems like you're not valued as much as someone who hasn't even seen the kids. Maybe the guardian ad litem hasn't even seen the child. Or maybe the judge hasn't seen the child. It's really angering, infuriating, she says, to have other people making these decisions and they don't take into account your thoughts, feelings, and observations. So that may be one of the issues. And I would say it is, as a foster mom, it is. Let's see, West Virginia, I'm quoting here again. West Virginia's foster care system is busting at the seams. There are 71% more children in state custody now than there were a decade ago. Of the approximately 10,500 kids who spend time in West Virginia foster care system every year, some are placed in certified foster homes or with relatives called kinship care. Despite efforts over the last few years to recruit and maintain foster families, there aren't nearly enough homes. And in a system where about half of the children enter the state's foster care system due to parental drug use, some have serious needs requiring specialized behavior care or substance abuse treatment. Sometimes those services are not available in kids' communities, but they're offered. Sometimes those services are available in kids' communities, but often they're not. So what that is saying is that as foster parents, we're not only having to just foster these kids require a lot of extra care, extra support. They often have behavior problems. They have educational problems, academic problems. And so they're going to need extra therapy or counseling, medications, different things. And sometimes it's not available in our community. I remember when I first got my two, a long time ago, actually, we had to drive an hour to see a doctor that was very good. She was a very good doctor. But she did like the ADHD medication, and it wasn't that there weren't doctors probably in our area. Well, there's none in my town. But it was just the quality of the care. So the quality of the care was so much better. So I drove an hour for them. But it's frustrating if you have to drive an hour for your kid for that. What if you have to drive another hour for therapy? That can be once a week. Just regular appointments and regular checkups. It can get overwhelming. So because of the drug epidemic, some of these kids really, really, really need high intervention strategies. You can't just take the foster child and parent them like you would normally parent your own. There really has to be some specialized treatments, and we have to often go out of town to do that. So all of our families are full. West Virginia families are full. They're going out of state. And so they're going out of state to foster homes, but a lot of them are going to foster group homes. So group homes that have kids from, a tri-state area or something. But this Mountain State Spotlight found some issues with those where some of them were being abusive or adding to their trauma. So it says the option is to find kinship care. So we wouldn't need as many foster families if we had kinship. placements. So, for example, if little Johnny gets taken from his mom, little Johnny can be put with mom's sister, and she just lives 2 doors down. That's perfect. Well, it's probably not the best idea for little Johnny, because who's going to be seeing little Johnny every day? Probably, mom's going to go down and see him, or it's not going to be any different. Because if, it's not always this way, but if one sister's doing this, the other sister might be doing that also. So, I'm not a big fan of kinship care in general in our area, just because there's a lot of drug use in families, and it's generational at this point. So, kinship care is great theoretically or on paper, but not always the best option. You know what the best option for recruiting foster parents is? Word of mouth. So if I'm having a great experience, I'm blessing these children are doing better, I'm able to have a positive influence, and I tell my friends about that, and they say, hey, that sounds amazing, it's so great, I'm glad you're doing that, and I think I might want to do it too. How do I sign up? Word of mouth is the best recruitment strategy for any agency. But do we really have anything as foster parents to brag about? The things that we complain about are really legitimate complaints, because there needs to be a new way to do some of the things that need done. They need foster care, but how are we doing it? Are we following our state's Bill of Rights for foster parents or for foster children? So the foster child might have a Bill of Rights, the foster parents might have a Bill of Rights. Are we even looking at those? Do the agencies even look at those and make sure they're followed? I don't know. I don't. I have to say, if I had to guess, no. Not that I'm complaining, but I did it in spite of so many problems. Foster family complaints also revolve around professionals not visiting the children. So a lot of times families feel abandoned when they have the child, and no one comes to check on them. No one comes to see them. I know we had a child one time, and I would like to have talked to the social worker, but every single time she visited this kid in school. And so I never saw her. Not one time in my home. Never saw her at all. She just went to the school and met with her. And so I never met her. Even at MDT meetings, I don't think I even went to an MDT meeting for whatever reason, but I never actually saw the social worker for this one child that I had. But I do realize that foster moms are the heroes of these children, but they're not taken seriously. So if you're having a child and the parent's doing well, what do we need to do to get that child back to the mom? Talk to the foster mom. Talk to the foster family, and I'm sure they would help you as a social worker transfer gently and logistically back home. I've heard so many stories. I just get so sad about these kids that are just plucked up, moved back home. That'll be great. I'm excited. But what about the transition for the child? It was probably traumatic to be taken from their home. Could it cause a trigger for them being just plopped up, moved over, and released somewhere else? I don't know, but I think it's best if we, transition them and explain to them, and they have visits, and then they have unsupervised visits, and then they have overnights, and then they have weekends, and then we make a date, not one unsupervised visit, and then they're moving back to their family, or none I've heard of, it's just unreal to me. So I just wanted to get on here and talk about some of the problems but how you can continue to do foster care in spite of a system that is broken. And I would encourage you not to look for your rewards from your agency or from the DHHR. Your rewards are not, going to come from the kids most of the time because, if they're a little older, they're not going to appreciate, kids kind of don't appreciate things until they are older, maybe even they have their own kids. So know that your rewards are not here, they're someplace else. And you have to have this drive to do and be better than what's expected of you. I mean, you can house these children, that's not really what we're called to do if we're fostering. We want them to flourish. We want them to grow and thrive and prosper and do well in every aspect of their lives. So we need to develop ourselves in order to be the best foster parent possible. And I believe that we should recruit other Christian foster families so that we can support each other and have this community and group that even though there are some problems, we're there for each other and we can support each other. So in spite of the problems, in spite of issues that you may have with a worker or an agency, don't give up. Don't stop doing it just because, the system is broken. Every system seems to be broken, but we don't stop, utilizing those systems. And we just need to be professional and have a great relationship, or try our best to have a great relationship with the with the worker. And I would say too that the workers are probably overworked. They are no doubt underpaid. They probably make, in my state, they probably make around $30,000. It's not enough for a professional with their bachelor's degree of some sort. They have to have a bachelor's degree to do what they're doing. And we're paying them like something that you could, honestly work at Chick-fil-A and make. So it's a disservice to them that our states don't, put more value on them and say your caseload is so much, we're going to pay you more, and that way we'll, recruit more social workers so they can do their jobs better. So that's another part of the system problem and breakdown, the pay of the social workers, and you're getting, I'm not sure about this, but I would say you're getting a lot of new social worker students, or you're getting the new ones. And then once they get their experience, they probably move just to a better job because not only does it burn you out, but you can make more money over here, or you can work in a hospital and do social work, So I don't know. That's part of the issue. So I hope that you enjoyed this talk about the problems in not in social work, but in foster care, and that you won't give up. You won't stop doing it. And subscribe, please, to this channel. Subscribe, like the video, but definitely subscribe because I want to do more of these informational videos about our foster care system in the United States and how we can influence these children in spite of any problems. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you next time.